This practice focused in the energy center, the chakra of Muladhara. We're working with the earth element. So if you have some rocks, a couple of rocks handy, stones that you want to work with, feel free to gather those up and set them alongside your mat. As you come to sit in a cross-legged posture, Siddhasana or Sukhasana, whichever one works best for you to sit tall, bring yourself into about the middle of the mat. If you're using those rocks for our work with the mudra, the hand symbol, once you've settled into your seat, you can feel your foundation, your seat, your legs on the ground. Then bring your hands into prana mudra. So you're curling the little finger and the ring finger into the thumb and extending the first two fingers and touching down either on the ground or on your rocks. And then we're going to work with a dynamic breath, Kapalabhati breathing. So bring one hand to your belly and draw your belly back and up to exhale the breath from the nose. So you're clearing the breath out of the nose. It's a sharp, strong action. Allow the inhale to happen. If this is new to you, you may want to keep your hand on your belly so you can feel that the belly goes back and in as you exhale out, as the breath goes out through the nose. If you're more familiar with this, then you can let your hand come back down towards the ground in prana mudra. Breathe in, suspend the breath for a second, and then exhale out through your mouth, hearing that sound as you round your spine, scoop your belly into your back, empty every last little bit of breath out. And then once you've emptied out, hold the breath out, suspend the breath out of the body, lift your spine up tall, lengthening your head up. Close your eyes, take your gaze towards your third eye point. If you're familiar with Mula Bandha, engage it. So you're squeezing anus, sex organ, navel in and up. And then when you feel the need for the breath to come back in, let it come back in. With Kapalabhati, if this isn't appropriate for you, do Sitali Pranayam instead. So you'd be inhaling through a curled tongue and exhaling through your nose. If you're working with Kapalabhati, we're going to move into another round for a longer period of time and a quicker pace, but you find the pace that works best for you. If you tend to breathe up into your chest, bring a hand to your belly so you can feel the action in the belly. Once you're settled, then join in and find your pace. If you get lightheaded, slow it down, or feel free to come back to long, deep breathing. So your focus is on the exhale. Unlike breath of fire with Kapalabhati, you're focusing on the exhale, allowing the inhale to happen. Kapalabhati means shining skull breath, or is often translated to mean shining skull breath. So you're clearing out, you're shining the inside of your skull, your sinuses. So take any time you need to clear your nose with this. That's part of the point. With this first spring practice, we're clearing out, strengthening the immune system by stimulating the digestion with the action of the belly and also by clearing out the nose. Continuing just a little bit longer. As you continue with this, you'll find this in itself as an abdominal strengthening exercise, as well as a pranayam, a breath control. Last few, keeping your spine tall, and then breathe in, complete breath in, suspend the breath, and then exhale, empty out through your mouth, and curve your back. It's like you're pressing the air out with the motion of your spine. Press all the last little bits of air out. See if you can fully empty. And once you've emptied, stay empty. Sit tall. So Kumbhaka, your suspension of the exhale. Eyes closed, engaging Mula Bandha, root lock. And staying present with the sensation. See if you can go a little bit beyond that initial tug, that desire for the in-breath. Soften into it. But then when you feel the need, before you start struggling, let the breath come in. And as you let the breath flow in and out, bring your hands together at your heart in Atmanjali Mudra. Taking some longer, deeper, ocean-sounding breaths and noticing how Kapalabhati has affected your breathing, your rib cage, your lungs, the volume of your breath. We're tuning in with Adi Mantra. Om Namo As you inhale, lift your arms up, moving them into big arm circles. So you're taking your breath all the way from the ground, through your waist, into your shoulders, and out through your arms. Taking one more. As you come down about shoulder level this time, we're going to open the face and the jaw, stretch your fingers out, stretch back across your chest, stretch wide through your mouth, inhale, exhale, shake it out with as much noise as you want to make. And doing that twice more. Inhale, stretch open through shoulders, chest and hands, jaw and tongue and eyes. Exhale, shake it loose. Last chance to make noise, to shake out what you don't need. And then once you come back to center, take your legs out in front. We're going to do quite an active warming up exercise here called body drops. So if you have trouble lifting your whole body off the ground, which can be a bit of a challenge, then do a rocking chair motion. Lift your butt and then your feet and rock back and forth. Otherwise, you're lifting your whole length of your legs up. So if you keep your legs together, feet active, and push the ground away with your hands, lift up with your core. Inhale to lift up, exhale to drop down. So you might end up moving to about breath of fire pace if you feel you can, otherwise slow it down. But if you find a momentum with this, I find it's a little bit easier to maintain the intensity of it. Inhaling up, exhaling down. So you're tamping your body. You're getting a sense of the sits bones and the bottom of the pelvis dropping down to the ground, as well as the lengths of the legs. So that's our focus in this first spring practice, is the feet, the legs, and the bottom of the spine, the tailbone. Our root support, base support, which is what Muladhara translates to mean. Continuing just a little bit longer. This is going to create some circulation, some heat very quickly. And directly after it, you'll be able to rest. So if you're feeling fatigued, see if you can keep up just another few seconds. As you bring yourself down onto your back, turn around, especially if you're working with other people, so that you have your head into the center. Find your Shavasana, your corpse pose. Drop down into the ground. You're just focusing on active levitation, on lifting your whole body up off the ground. So now balance that by sinking down into the ground. Letting go as efficiently as you can. Feeling the lengths of your legs. You may have to stretch your heels out away from your head and your fingers away from your head to find your shoulders broad. And watch your breath as it moves from that dynamic, active breath into its own natural rhythm as it softens down into the belly. Feel your relationship to the ground, to the earth. Throughout this practice, we're going to play with that, with how much we can drop down to lift up, how much we can lift up, and then also how much we can balance all of that with sinking, releasing, surrendering the body into the ground. As Martha Graham, the choreographer dancer, has written, in a dancer there is a reverence for such forgotten things as the miracle of the small, beautiful bones and their delicate strength. Think of the magic of that foot, comparatively small, upon which your whole weight rests. It's a miracle, and the dance is a celebration of that miracle. We have all walked the high wire of circumstance at times. We recognize the gravity of the pull of earth. Going to continue to rest on the back and bring attention into the hips and the core and right up through the legs. Next time that you exhale, draw your belly down into your back and use that stabilization in your low back to bring your legs up off the ground. I'm going to do what I call a window stretch. So you're taking your right ankle across your left thigh, energize that foot so the four corners of your right foot face off the left side of your mat. And keeping your left foot on the ground, press your right knee, your right thigh away, and see if that's enough of a stretch. If it's not, hold the back of your left leg with your left hand and draw it towards you. So your hands are doing two different things, and so are your feet. You're drawing in with your left arm, if your foot's not on the ground, and you're pressing away with your right hand. And then you're also engaging your right foot, but relaxing your left foot. See if you can feel in your waist, as you do this, your hips want to swivel. Your left hip wants to come up towards your shoulder. So if you keep your core strong and lengthen your waist, find that space between bottom ribs and hips to be the same. And find where you feel the stretch in your right hip. So you're deepening your breathing into that right hip. Shoulders broad underneath you, back of your neck long. If you're a little bit more flexible and you want to hold the front of your left shin, feel free. Shifting back into Ujjayi Pranayam and directing your breath all the way down into your hip. Preparing this right hip for the next exercise where it may have a tendency to cramp. So focus on creating space in your right hip joint. Find the depth, the edge of your stretch that you can breathe into, jaw relaxed. I'm going to transition into a variation of the yogi lifts that you've likely done before in some of these practices, just with different legs. So this next time that you exhale, soften the pull of what you're doing and cross your right thigh completely over your left. So you might have to use your hands to get your thighs to cross. And then see if you can wind your right foot behind your left leg. If you're not able to wind your foot behind, then just cross your thighs. Draw your knees towards you to the point where your low back is stable on the ground. And then bring your hands interlaced behind your head. Lift your head up and see your breath in your belly. Take your elbows, your upper arms towards your thighs so your shoulders clear your neck. And then focusing on your breath in your belly, same as we've done before in yogi lifts. Inhale, the belly expands. Pause for a second and pull your belly down before you exhale. And then as you exhale, keep pulling your belly down and swoop that up into your tailbone curling up and your legs lengthening without unwinding. At the top of all that, spread your 10 toes out. Find spaces between your toes and then soften on the inhale. Jaw relax. Make sure you're not yanking your neck. And then as you exhale, curl up through your tailbone, lengthen up through your legs without unwinding them. Doing just one more. Shoulders broad, head steady. You're not pulling your head up. On this last one, as you lengthen your legs up and spread your toes out, drop your belly a little deeper into your back before you breathe in. And when you bring your head back down, keep your legs wound and bring your hands stacked one on top of the other at the top of your thigh, right next to your pelvis. This is an isometric engagement. Same exact breathing. Inhale, belly expands. Pause, pull it down. Exhale, pull your belly deeper and push your thighs away and pull them towards you at the same time without moving. And then mid-thighs. Same thing. Moving your hands to mid-thighs. Feel the difference. Shoulders broad, back of your neck long. Energize your pelvis and your thighs more than your feet. Drawing up and pushing away at the same time. Feel your low back broaden, your abdominals strengthen deep into your back. So the last one is where your hands are close to your knees. And then keep your legs wound, take your arms out about shoulder level, and let your wound legs drop over to the left. And look to see that your knees are about level with your right hip, so you have your thighs parallel to the short end of the mat. And then let your head release to the right. Don't worry about pushing your right shoulder down. It's going to be most likely up off the ground. If you're feeling your sacrum at all, unwind your legs or adjust where they are so that you don't feel any strain in the ligaments of your sacrum, the lowest part of your back as it drops down into the butt cheeks. So find where you're safe there and then see if you can release into the pull of gravity. Notice how much you're holding yourself up. We're becoming more adept at engaging, lifting up, and then releasing down efficiently, quickly. So each inhale, feel how the inhale expands you from that right shoulder into your right ribs, into your right hip, and then exhale and feel the weight of your legs, the weight of your shoulder, the weight of your head. Taking another couple of breaths here. If your knees are right out from your right hip, then you'll be able to bring your left hand underneath your knees, help them back up with your arm and your core strength. And then once you come back up to center with your inhale, unwind your legs. We're going to do that whole series over on the left side. So crossing your left ankle over your right thigh. You can keep your right foot on the ground, especially if your hips are tight. This is a good place to start. Energize your left foot so the four corners of that foot are squared. So that stabilizes your knee joint, that left knee joint. And either stay here if you want to go deeper with this, then draw your right thigh towards you, holding the back of your thigh or even the front of your shin, depending on your flexibility. And as soon as you start to draw in on the right and at the same time press away on the left, notice what happens to your waist. So apply that core strength that you just established in the core work to keeping your waists even, and that'll take you deeper into that left hip. Otherwise, it's getting lost in your waist. Keeping your shoulders even, back of your neck long, jaw relaxed, and focusing your breath into opening that left hip joint. Finding where's your edge. Getting your brain stimulated by having your legs doing two different things. Left foot active, right foot relaxed. And your hands doing two different things. Left hand pressing away, right hand drawing in. One more inhale into your left hip. Slow, steady breath, giving it some nourishment, some stretch. And when you exhale, come into your twisted root yogi lift. So cross your left thigh over and wind your left foot behind if you can. Otherwise, just cross your thighs. Notice how this feels. It might feel different on your leg joints. And then bringing your head up, interlace your fingers behind your head, change the lacing, if you did the same lacing as last time, and move into your yogi lifts. When you exhale, pull your belly down, curl your tailbone up, lengthen your legs. See if you can feel that that left foot, that left leg behind is trying to hoist the right leg up. It's trying to help it up. Energize your toes, spread them out, as though your toes are trying to lift your tailbone and your butt cheeks up off the ground. Doing one more. On this last one, see if you can start to get a sense of lifting your butt up off the ground with the length of your legs without unwinding them. And notice left to right if there's a different sense in the lift. When you release back down, rest your head on the ground, bring your hands to the top of your left thigh. Make sure your low back is planted on the ground. So you might need to draw your knees towards you to stabilize your low back. And then continue with that breathing. And on your exhale, push your thighs away and draw them towards you at the same time. Second one, bring your hands to mid-thigh. Notice the different sensation here when you start to move down the length of your thigh. Shoulders broad. Take it out of your teeth. Keeping your feet relatively soft, it's more in the thighs. Drawing your legs up. Last one, hands are close to the knees. Press away and draw up at the same time. Plant your low back. It does not arch off the ground. And when you finish that one, then release into your twist, making sure that this feels safe for your sacrum, for your low back. So as you release your legs to the right, double check that your knees are out from your left hip. And then turn your head towards the left, shoulders broad. Letting the weight of your body drop down and checking as you release into this that your sacrum, your low back is okay. If it's not, adjust by unwinding your legs or changing the angles of them. Play around until you find the place that you can surrender, you can release fully into. And then start to drop down deeper into the ground. Feel free to close your eyes. See if you can let go. As you close your eyes, you take your gaze inside, you start to notice internally what might still be engaged, what might still be active that you can release. Take these breaks while you have them. Same applies for life. You don't know how long they're going to last, so drop into them and enjoy them fully while you have them. One more breath into that whole opening left side of your body. We're going to help the legs back up with the core strength and the arm strength. So bring your right hand underneath your knees, draw back up to center. And as you unwind your legs, you're going to come into Ananda Balasana, blissful baby, happy baby. So hold the outer edges of your feet and start to draw your thighs outside your ribs. This is oftentimes the trickiest part of this, is to get the knees to open out wide from the hip joints opening, from the top of the femur bone in the hip joints, swiveling out. So what I find helpful with this is to bend the elbows, point them slightly towards the side edges of the mat, which helps bring your shoulders broad underneath you, and then align your forearms with your shins, and start to align your feet parallel to each other. And then feel for where that stretch is in the hamstrings at the top of the thighs where they connect to the sits bones. So you're drawing down and towards you, but just to the extent that you can breathe fully. Now, if you want to intensify this, you can tilt your tailbone back towards the ground. A lot of times it's just the thought of that. That's enough to take you into the depth. And then if it feels good for you, you can rock side to side on your back. If not, just stay steady at center. This movement side to side is apparently quite good for issues in the low back and cramping during menstruation. Find what feels good for you, staying center, rocking side to side. If you're rocking, come back to center. And I'm going to transition to hamstring stretch, which you've likely done before, so you're familiar with. But coming from here, you might need to change the hold. If you're able to continue holding the outer edges of your feet, great. Otherwise, switch to holding the balls of your feet or your big toes. And then moving your feet to parallel, but about a fist width apart. You have the vantage point here of being able to see your feet without having to hold yourself up on top of them. So look at your toes and align your second toes with your mid ankles, with your mid knees, with your front hip bones. Notice if your heels want to go in as you start to draw the little toe side of your foot down. Start to see the relationship of all those small bones in your feet, as well as breathing into the intensity of stretching your heels up. And again, just like you did in Happy Baby, if you want to intensify this, start to tilt your tailbone back down towards the ground. Think of broadening your sacrum, your belly into your low back, into your sacrum, deeper into the ground. As you find that planting in your low back and your tailbone, you can start to move your thighs away from your belly and your heels up towards the sky, breathing into the opening of the backs of your legs. Don't worry about how much bend you have in your knees. Find the intensity that you can breathe into. One of our key words in this energy center and these practices is acceptance. Start accepting where you are. See where you are, accept it, breathe into it, and then from there you can start to take the steps towards where you'd like to go. So next time that you exhale, release down, hold on to your knees or your shins or the back of your thighs and massage your back. If moving along the length doesn't feel right for your spine, doesn't feel safe, then just rock side to side, find what feels like a good massage of your spine. If you're moving along the length, see if you can balance on that tripod of bones when you come up, your sits bones and your tailbone. Being sure to not put pressure on your neck. You stop at your shoulders. And this next time that you come up and if you need to, turn yourself around so you're facing off the length of the mat instead of being at the short end. And find first your grounding, where you're dropping your heels and your tailbone down. Double checking the angles of your feet, the alignment of your feet, and noticing the weight in your feet. Do you find that you drop down into your arches so you can use your arms here, even though we're in a tucked posture? Use your upper arms, your elbows, your forearms, depending on where you are, to press your knees out. Align the eyes of your kneecaps over the middle toes. Starting to feel more weight in the little toe side of your foot. And then to create a little bit more space and to move into our next exercise, lift up slightly onto the balls of your feet if you're not already there, so that you can clear your neck, bring your shoulders onto your back. As you press your knees out, you'll have your lower arms inside your knees now. Find your balance here, so you may have to focus your eyes on a point on the ground or ahead of you to help you balance. And then bring your hands into Venus Mudra. So all fingers except the pointer fingers interlaced. And heart level, your gun of love. We're going to do Charlie's Angels movement here, moving crow. So you're inhaling up, exhaling down. As you start this, if you need to push off with your hands on the ground, do that. And then if you only come down as far as you can come back up. So make sure you feel strong, especially if you have issues in your knee joints. It might be that you don't come all the way down to your full squat. And then strong breath. Inhale, push the ground away with your heels. Find the strength in your legs to lift up. Exhale, come down only as far as your shoulders stay broad on your back. You're not crowding your neck, and you know you can come back up. Strong breath through your nose, keeping your hands heart level instead of throat level. A few more. Now, if this doesn't work for you, this Charlie's Angels movement doesn't feel right for you, for your knee joints, for your energy. You can stay and squat and do dog pant, or even stay and squat and do Sitali Pranayam, a cooling, detoxifying breath. So you have a few options for clearing out. I'm going to build a little bit more heat, and then next time you exhale, release down. Hanging here in your squat, you can have your hands in Venus Mudra, you can bring them to the floor in front of you. Take a few breaths and slow your breathing down. Notice the energy in your legs, the warmth in your legs. If you're doing dog pant as an alternate version, if you can, take your gaze to the tip of your nose, looking down towards the tip of your nose, eyes slightly crossed with your eyelids almost closed, tongue stretched out so you're releasing out instead of drawing back in what you'd like to let go of. If that gaze doesn't work for you, if you find that you get lightheaded or nauseated or dizzy, then just look down towards the ground. Stabilize by looking at the ground. You want to make sure you're grounded. It's another key word in this practice. So always come back to your foundations. Unlace your fingers, bring your hands down, and transition your way into table for cat pose. Transition your breathing, so if you're working with dog pant, then draw your tongue back in, notice any taste on it, and find your ocean sounding breath as you move the breath along the length of the spine. Once you have a good stretch through cat pose, press back into child. Find where you can release and settle. So that may mean your knees widen out or you rest your head on something. Your hands can stay in front, especially the first few breaths. You may want to use them to drop your tailbone, your sits bones back over your heels, or you can wrap your arms around and rest your hands by your feet. As you settle down here like a small rock on the earth, I'm going to work with a very simple sound, just a hum sound. So be aware of your breath. And this next time that you exhale, find your teeth are soft, jaws relaxed, and breathe out through a hum sound, focusing primarily on the where the lips come together. And notice where the vibration is, in your head or in your body. Where can you feel it? You may want to play with the pitch. Using this humming, just a few breaths here, follow your pace of breathing. We're using this humming to ground and to clear out. I think of sound work, mantra work, like an internal jackhammer. You start to break up areas of concrete, areas that have become hard in the body. So see if you can move this vibration of the sound into where you'd like to create more space. Notice when you return to your breathing, when you let go of the sound, how you feel, how the breath feels, taking an internal check on the effect of even just those few rounds of humming. And as you deepen your breathing, let it bring you up. Let your next inhale uncurl you to kneeling. Bring your arms out and up overhead. And as you exhale, bring your hands down to Atmanjali Mudra, acknowledging yourself and anyone else you're practicing with. Namaste.